What is up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans? It's your old friend IndyCar Tim here with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers Daily Blitz. We are approaching draft week, as it is Friday the week before. We have less than a week now to go before the NFL draft commences. First round on Thursday, of course, live from Lambeau Field at Green Bay, Wisconsin. And lots of things expected to happen, of course, in the first round. By the way, welcome into FanStream Sports. Welcome into the Bucs Daily Blitz. You can find us at fanstreamsports.com, wherever you get your podcasts, or at our YouTube channel, FanStream Sports TV, Facebook, X, Instagram, all of those good places. Appreciate you popping on here with us. We will continue to monitor and cover all of the ridiculous rumors that approach all of us and infect all of us as we get closer and closer to draft day, draft weekend. And, some of these things are just ridiculous, with presumed and predicted trades. There's no way to know what all of these are. Mock drafts are nothing more than just a talking point, and sometimes a fun talking point, and sometimes they just get out of hand, Will the Bucs trade out of 19? I don't know. I don't put together mock drafts, and even if I did, why would I predict a trade? Unless it's something that makes sense, or that if a team has come out and said, which why would they? We may just trade our pick and try to get more in the back because we don't really care about the people that are going to be available. That nobody does that. So mock drafts are just fun, but they get out of hand. So does really any draft prediction. The only ones that make sense right now is if the ones that are going out and saying Cam Ward is going to the Titans, right? That's not out on a limb. Travis Hunter maybe going to the Browns at number 2. Well, that's not out on a limb. They probably won't take Shedeur Sanders at number 2 like we thought a month ago. But when you get back to like 19, where the Bucs are, nobody knows. We don't know. We know that they need defense, and we know they're probably going to focus on defense in the draft. But this is a really deep draft for edge rushers, for defensive backs. And, even Todd Bowles has said that they won't sacrifice a really good offensive player because they're targeting defense, which is weird to me that they may take a wide receiver at number 19. I don't know, maybe. But trust the process. All right, Jason Light's been doing this for a while now, and he's been pretty good at it. One of the better teams in the league at drafting, especially in the first 5 rounds. So let's just trust the process a little bit. Thought we'd have a little bit of fun here today. I'm going to throw a prediction rumor at you, but it's not one that's off the charts. It's one that's very, very feasible. And it is not my prediction. But it comes to us from our friends over at who was it? Pro Football Focus threw this out there as they did a piece about every team's potential first-round surprise draft pick. And I think you call it a surprise because, the Bucs, again, defensive end / edge rusher or linebacker at number 19 is what we're looking at most likely. And when you hear names like Jahad Campbell from Alabama, Demetrius Knight Jr. from South Carolina, those aren't stretches for 19 if they're available for the Bucs, right? Defensive ends, Shamar Stewart at Texas A&M. I know a lot of you guys aren't big on him because he's got just weird numbers. 4.5 sacks in 3 years as a starter. That doesn't jump off the page. But he has impressed everybody at senior day. Keep in mind, and I'm not condoning his selection at number 19, but I'm just saying he's better than what the numbers show you. So, and a lot of people think that he's the number 2 rated edge rusher in a lot of websites that do that. So he's been linked to the Bucs. That wouldn't be a stretch. Georgia's Michael Williams, not a stretch. But Pro Football Focus threw out a name that I've actually personally linked, and I don't publish these things, right? I write for Athlon Sports and the Bucs site, Bucs Country on Athlon Sports. And I think I wrote this a couple of weeks ago. So that's why I wanted to discuss it here, because it's kind of in the same line of thinking that I am. But going defensive back at number 19, I wouldn't call it a stretch, but it might be a surprise. I think it would surprise most people, as Pro Football Focus wrote. Was Dalton Wasserman who wrote this article for PFF. But they threw out the name Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. I would not hate this pick for the Bucs at number 19. And I tell you what, while you guys are listening here, whether you're on the recorded podcast, by the way, you can always reach us here in the studio at FanStream Sports, 214-937-0569. That's our studio text line. If you're listening to the recorded podcast and you want to reach us and you want to comment about something, just text that number, 214-937-0569. Text the number. Tell us your name, where you're texting from, and what your thought is. And we'd be happy to credit you and acknowledge you on the next show, whatever show it is here across our shows here on FanStream Sports. Could be the J.P. Peterson show, one of our Dallas shows, one of our Ohio shows. That number works for, it just goes to the main studio, and we divvy them out from there. But if you're watching the YouTube channel, would be happy to hear from you about who your favorite target would be or what position at number 19 and even beyond if you want to talk some more about the draft. We'll get into it more here as the week progresses. But, I don't think it would be a stretch for a safety at number 19. And I think that Xavier Watts would be a good selection. I mean, I would be not just okay with it. I think I would be ecstatic with it. More than, another name like Demetrius Knight Jr. or like, as my Siri on my watch goes off, I have no idea what prompted her, or more ecstatic as if it was Georgia's Michael Williams. I don't know if I would like it more, but I would be okay with it for sure. Xavier Watts is an incredible athlete. And Todd Bowles mentioned drafting ball hawks for his defense. That is the definition of a ball hawk, is Xavier Watts at number 19. Christian Izien moved to safety last year, and his numbers dropped, as you would expect, he had a really impressive rookie season as a slot defender, but you move him into safety, his numbers dropped. I would like to see Christian Izien back as a slot defender. I think he's much more effective there. The drafting of Watts would enable that, or any safety. And again, you're going to have opportunities to get safeties later in the draft too. I understand that. But you won't have an opportunity to get Watts in the second round, in the third round. I don't believe. That would also, if you get Watts, I would allow Antoine Winfield Jr. To move a little more freely around the formation. Watts had 13 interceptions over the past 2 seasons. What is it that the defense on the Bucs is lacking maybe the most? Interceptions. Guys that can catch the ball. Watts started out as a receiver in South Bend at Notre Dame. And he was moved to safety. He can still catch the ball. That move was more necessitated by their roster than it was that he was a sucky wide receiver, because he was not. And you always like defensive backs that think like a wide receiver, right? Look at Travis Hunter. He plays both ways. If you're a receiver, it's good to think like a defender. And if you're a defender, it's good to think like a receiver. So the guys that can do both of those things, pretty rare. But it is what it is. I'm not going to hate on Xavier Watts or the Bucs or Jason Light if they take Notre Dame safety Xavier Watts at number 19. I think it would be a tremendous opportunity. Now, again, it's going to depend on who's available edge-wise, defensive end-wise, and who's available linebacker-wise. I don't know what Jason Light's draft board looks like. I don't know where Watts is on that board or where some of these other defenders are on their board. But to me, you take the best player available, right? And that's what Light and Bowles have both been preaching here since the NFL scouting combine at the end of February, beginning of March. So, again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. Trust the process, man. If you're a Bucs fan, this is a really deep draft for edge rushers, for defensive backs. And you got to have faith that Jason Light's going to do what he needs to do to make this defense better. And I firmly believe, I can't imagine there's a pick at 19 that they would make that I would just really scratch my head and wonder what the heck are they doing. So maybe you feel different. If so, please let me know. By the way, you can also find me on X at IndyCar Timm. The network is at FanStream DFW, or you can also go over to at JP Peterson Show for all of that. By the way, we will be covering all of this on the JP Peterson Show weekdays, 10 to noon Eastern on FanStream Sports at fanstreamsports.com, our YouTube channels, all of it. We appreciate all of you guys popping on when you do. But yeah, I wanted to pop on here a little bit and talk about Xavier Watts and see what y'all's thoughts were. Please let me know what you think about Xavier Watts or any of these guys I've mentioned at number 19. Or do you think maybe you're in the camp, like I've heard a couple of people, you know what? This is so deep. Let's just bump number 19. Let's trade back. Let's get maybe 2 more picks in the second or third rounds for that number 19. And let's pile up the picks, man, and let's just go all out. So depending on what picks you got in exchange for 19, I may or may not be on board with that. But whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear from you. And we can discuss it like civilized football fans, wherever you would like to do that. I'm IndyCar Timm. This is FanStream Sports. This is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Daily Blitz. We appreciate everybody that's popped on here with us. Special thanks to the Jeeves Law Group, JeevesLawGroup.com. We appreciate them very much for helping us out with the studio and all the things we do in the Tampa Bay area. Get over there for all of your legal needs, and they will help you out, as they do everyone. All of our great listeners. Make sure you tell them FanStream Sports sent you over there. We'll do it again here as the weekend and the week progresses. Till then, boys and girls, we'll see you.